We're back, everybody.
I feel like that's unfortunately going to be one of our new catchphrases.
Nah, man, it's cursed. Last year in October, man, we missed episodes.
I know.
This is the time that we need to record, and god damn it, we need to do a better job.
Seriously. And we sincerely apologize, everybody. I can't believe just the amount of unfortunate circumstances we've had.
We recorded last week. It just the audio file was corrupt.
Yeah, I got home. It was a beautiful Sunday. I'm getting ready to edit, and I pull it up. I'm like, this is going to be good. We had such a blast doing the episode.
It was funny because right when we finished this, I was like, Britton, I never said this to you before, but you did the hell out of this episode. People are going to love it.
He did say that. I wish I had it on audio, but I literally, it was the worst audio we've recorded. We couldn't use it. It was some weird background noise. I think we've just messed around with too many ghosts in your house, man.
Yeah,
I think they're just out
pissed.
to get us. Is it Chris? Are you upset with us, Chris? Did we do something?
Everything I do to scare Cleet, he just brushes it off. He doesn't care. I tried to pull his feet when he was laying in bed. He woke up with, ah! And then he just went back to bed. He looked at his phone, pulled up TikTok, laughed, and went back to bed.
I let my pet rooster out even. Didn't even faze him.
So I just watched today before you got here the new Jeepers Creepers.
Oh wait, the Jeepers Creepers Reborn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm nervous. I want you to tell me it's good, but it doesn't look like it was good from your face.
So no spoilers here, right?
Right.
So to me, it was like an alien reenacting what he's heard a bukkake is, but because because he does not understand the culture of the human race. Yeah, I mean, technically it was a bukkake, but Jesus, what the hell was that?
Did you watch Jeepers Creepers or a Pornhub reenactment of Jeepers Creepers? Because you're tossing bukkake around super casually.
Yeah, it was. I'm giving it 0 stars, man.
Wow,
it was
that's
bad.
Unfortunate.
It was literally it was Jeepers Creepers, and it's the series itself isn't known for having a really good storyline that makes sense throughout episodes, right? But I like the first one.
First one was amazing.
I still like the second one.
Second
I don't
was
think I'm
okay.
that picky. I don't remember really the third one, but I don't remember hating it.
Third one was horrible.
But this one, man, yeah, it was it was someone that read Jeepers Creepers, but just didn't understand it at all.
Okay. See,
Jesus.
that's a little bit more of an accurate telling. You're just throwing bukkake around it's just a typical conversation piece.
Yeah, very upsetting.
That's frustrating. Me and my wife, we're Halloween people. We're October people. So we've just been on this kick of we watch a scary thing every single night. And we watched one, we finished it last night, called Suspiria. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh my God. So I didn't know what we were getting into because the trailer was really creepy. It's a dance studio with so much happening. It's one of those films that I think that the goal is to just confuse you for the first hour and a half to 2 hours, and then the last 30 so minutes is just utter carnage, and you're like, what am I watching right now? That's what Suspiria was.
All right.
And it was in 2018, so it's relatively new, but they filmed it like an old school 70s horror film, the camera pans in really quick. It was filmed awesome, and it was good, but the last 30 minutes, man, it'll change you. I'm not the same person. I have to say.
Bleach never seemed better in my eyeballs.
No, never. But yeah, again, folks, we apologize for missing the ball so much. I always have people asking me are you guys are you done? Or you just decide to quit? And I kind of be yeah, we're just done. We just couldn't handle it.
We hate each other. Just something happened middle of recording.
It was a fallout.
Yeah.
That was it. No, we love what we do, and we just cannot seem to catch a goddamn break. So I'm hoping this goes smooth, and every week from here on out, you'll be hearing from us, because it is spooky season. This is when we need to be on our game.
Spooktober, baby.
But jumping into what we're drinking today, it's this cool, refreshing, 0 sugar Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
The sweet taste of Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. We didn't have beer this time, so hopefully maybe it'll come out okay without the interference of alcohol.
Belligerently drunk.
Belligerently, blatantly, violently drunk.
Why are you sweating so much? I don't know.
My blood has been replaced by alcohol. But we are back to a Reddit thread. And again, we really enjoyed this Reddit thread. I thought it was very entertaining. And the thread is, what was your creepy, unexplained experience as a child?
I love these, man. Love them, because everyone's had one.
Everybody has had one. The childhood is the home of spooky shit.
Yeah.
That's why 90% of horror movies revolve around children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started with Diamond Eyes 7. When I was a child, my grandparents' house always creeped me out. I was terrified of the basement, and there was something off about the rest of the house. Once, when I was 10, my mom and I were sleeping in my grandpa's bed. I couldn't sleep, and I was facing the middle of the bed, so the back of my head was near the space between the bed and the wall/window. All of a sudden, I feel something poke the back of my head twice.
It's never good when something pokes the back of your head when you're in bed.
Middle of the night.
It's the old pokey poke.
I was petrified and froze, so I never turned my head to see what was poking me. To this day, I don't know what could have happened, but I can still feel those pokes. So we said it, a lot of shit happens in your childhood, but I also feel a lot of shit happens at your grandparents' house.
Oh, yeah.
It's as a child at your grandma's house. That's where things happen, for some reason, and it's most of the time in a basement.
This one is from Spider Lane, Wales. I haven't told this one in a while. I was young, 5 to 7, somewhere in there. I was sleeping in between my parents for whatever reason. I woke up. I remember the clock reading around 4 a.m. There was something standing out by my window, looking out into our front yard. It looked like a man in a brown wool robe, about 6'4" or so. I started to stir and sat up in bed, and the thing turned and looked at me. Dear God, that face. Extremely pale white skin, lots of really pronounced wrinkles, and the face drooped like it was melting down into a really pointy chin, almost similar to the Scream mask, but with all the features of a living being. Its mouth was hanging open and its eyes were wide.
God damn.
Almost like it was worried or frightened. It kept its gaze on me while I moved away from the window, in front of the bed, and out the open bedroom door. The second it exited the room, the lights turned on their own, and both of my parents jumped up on either side of me, breathing heavily, like they'd just woken up from a nightmare. To be clear, I was fully able to move during this. I don't think it was sleep paralysis, but I'm not sure what it could have been other than some kind of demon or really fucking ugly ghost. I've never seen it since, but I can still picture it clear as day. You know, they say when you're a kid, man, you're close to the veil. You see a lot of spooky shit.
Yeah, this is true. They do say that. Okay. This comes from our pal Deleted. From 5 to 6 years old, I would see a shadow figure, perfect human woman shape, walk the walls in the night, back and forth. It really creeped me out that I would just put the covers over my head. I was an only child and my parents were in their bedroom. It was when I was still wide awake, way before I got sleepy. So creepy. Just like the child, you know, it's just that feeling of the blankets are what keeps you safe. Like,
oh, yeah.
Something walks in and your foot's out and you pull back in the blanket and they're like, God damn it. Those sheets.
He went back to his fortress of solitude.
Like something about a blanket you just cannot penetrate as an evil being. Like what is that fear?
I don't know, man.
Nothing protects you like a goddamn bed sheet.
This one is from Deleted. My mom put me to bed in my room, but I woke up downstairs. I thought it was a dream, but some man picked me up when I was almost asleep, carried me downstairs and put me down on some blankets between the sofa and the chair. I was quite young, so my parents still had a safety gate. My dad wasn't in, worked nights then, and my mom was asleep, so no one knows how I managed to get downstairs. I can still remember this now, strangely.
This man just gently cradled me, took me downstairs, and laid me upon the floor.
I just heard him breathing like...
Some fava beans and an iced Chianti. This one comes from Not a Good Gardener. I feel like I can relate. Yeah. I am not a good gardener.
Same.
My wife, on the other hand. I was out at our cabin in the remote mountainous wilderness of Colorado with my dad and had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. This necessitated a flashlight and shoes because the outhouse was far away. There was no one but me and my dad for miles in any direction, so I thought. I suddenly heard voices in the distance and stopped in my tracks. It seemed to be coming from my right, deep in the woods in the middle of nowhere, a quarter of a mile from the road. Being 11 and unafraid of the world, I foolishly yelled, "Who's out there?" There was silence for a few seconds. Then a shouted string of profanity so vulgar, it terrified my virgin ears.
Your virgin ears.
I stood stock still for a moment like a terrified rabbit, but heard nothing else. So I ran back to the house and woke my dad up. He got up, loaded his gun, and turned all the lights on, but we never heard another sound. To this day, we have not seen or heard another person within 15 miles of the cabin. So at first I thought, like, when I was reading this, I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, why would you, like, just start screaming
profanities at a child?
But like, think about it from their perspective. Like, because they're thinking no one's out there either, and so they're probably out just, like, taking a piss or whatever, and they hear, "Who's there?"
It's like 2 a.m., you're taking a dump by a tree, and just a little child.
"Who's there? Fuck, shit, god damn it, son of a bitch." You're running, trying to wipe on the run. So that makes more sense. Oh yeah, see, someone commented here. Imagine going for a midnight walk in the deep dark woods and hearing a small child's voice where there shouldn't be one. See, that makes sense. Like, at first you're like, what the hell is up with that? But God, that person was taken back hard. Like, because again, kids are terrifying. You don't want to hear them in the middle of the woods.
All right, this one is from Writing Zoo. I had an experience which may or may not be similar. I lived in a huge rural house in South Korea. The house had a courtyard, and the street outside was barely lit. It was nighttime, and I was the last one to get groceries out of the trunk. I walked through the gate, locked it, and walked to the front door of the house. Suddenly, I got this chill that ran through my spine, and I turned backwards instinctively. I can't really explain what I saw. It was a glowing, bright blue, human-shaped figure floating in the middle of the courtyard, and it was slowly floating closer. I got this jolt. I'm pretty sure it was associated with primal fear. I wrenched, opened the door, locked it fast, ran to the living room, and played with my Legos like nothing was wrong. That night, I had a weird dream. My mother was missing, and I was looking for her in desperation. I found a door embedded in a hill. Something was off about the door, so I opened it. It blasted open and hellish things poured out of it. I'm talking like Silent Hill level shit. It may not be creepy typing it out, but the memory of that night is burned into my mind. My mom was fine when I woke up. As a side note, I'm also very prone to sleep paralysis. I have episodes where I wake up in sleep paralysis 3 to 4 times a week that last a month. Then I'll be free for half a year or so. My friends joke that I'm haunted. Haha. It's a fucking creepy dream, man. You open a door and it just hot air blasts through and you like open the gates of hell. Everyone's like, "Why'd you open the door, Jimmy? Jimmy, we could have had a good life.
You ruined everything." All right, this comes from Deleted. The house phone rang and a man's friendly voice is on the phone. I was 8 at the time. "Hello?"
Hi there, how are you?
"Good."
Do you like toys, boy?
"Yes."
Well, do you want to play with some?
"Yeah, I guess."
You can come over. I have lots of nice toys you can come play with.
I don't think I can." Hangs up. Never told anyone about it and didn't realize how creepy that it was until years later when I saw a Sister Sister episode about a pedophile. God knows what that man had planned when I said yes. God knows if another child ever said yes to him. Fuck, I'm getting creeped out and feeling dread more than 20 years later.
A lot of creepy people there, man.
If someone asks to go play with toys, stranger danger, hell no.
Just get my van. It has no windows. That's real nice.
Just reminds me of this video I saw online. It was obviously a joke, but it's like some dad and he's like, the kid comes up, he's like, "Dad, I want to go to the park." And the dad's like, "No, I don't think you can go alone." He's like, "Well, why not?" He's like, "Well, if a stranger comes up in a van, you getting in?" "Hell yeah, I'm getting in." "No, you say no." "Oh, okay, no, I'm not getting in." "What if he offers you candy?" "Hell yeah, I love candy.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
getting in." It just goes on and on. And he's like, "Okay, I don't think you can go to the park because I don't want to go anyway." It was just funny.
All right, this one is from Stratagem. My mother had these porcelain bells shaped like milkmaids. The bells were under the skirts. Weird ornamentations. I know. My mother was rather anal about decorations in general and blamed me for moving them often. I just assumed it was our cat, so I started keeping an eye on them and moved them back if they were out of place. One night I snuck downstairs to watch TV. I casually checked the bells when I picked up the remote. They were all facing the right direction, approximately center of the room, as they should. A few hours later, I hear a bell. I swatted in the direction, assuming the cat was playing with the bells again. I realized immediately the cats had been asleep in my lap, and all the maids were now facing the walls.
Nope.
I didn't sneak any late-night television for a while after that. That's creepy as hell.
This comes from Deleted. Again, he's very active on this channel. I grew up on the central coast of California, and my family would frequently visit Big Sur for camping, hiking, or just hanging out and having lunch at one of the restaurants. I must have been about 7, old enough to visit the bathroom independently, but still rather new to the freedom of walking around somewhere that wasn't my neighborhood or the woods alone.
I remember that rite of passage.
Right? You look around, you're like, I am alone and loving it.
You know what, Mom? You know what, Dad? I'm going to take a shit. I'll be right back.
Because I'm 7.
Because I'm an adult. Yeah.
I'm going to do this. I went into the bathroom at a restaurant called the River Inn, and there were 3 stalls. 1 handicapped, 2 regular. All but one of the stalls, a regular one, were taken. I distinctly remember looking under the doors for feet, because I was a little kid, and for whatever reason preferred the handicapped stall. I saw no feet, but the doors were locked. Whatever. I went into the one open stall. There was a huge fucking squid in the toilet. What the hell? Like, the body had to be at least a foot long, plus tentacles, coiled around the inside of the toilet bowl. It totally filled the available space. Cloudy, dead squid eyes gazing up at me from the pooper. I ran out of the bathroom in horror, told nobody, and held my pee for the 45-minute drive home. What the fuck was that squid doing there? All I can surmise is it was a line cook prank in an area that ubiquitously had squid on the menu. 25 years later, the terror toilet squid still haunts me. My question is the gentleman that passed that okay?
Yeah, they did the TikTok squid laxative challenge.
Swallow a whole squid, take a bunch of laxatives, and see if it comes out still.
Oh my god, I gotta go!
In one piece, it's like the quickest pass through a body.
What the hell, man?
His bum was never the same.
I bet that janitor was pissed.
Yeah, I would be too. You're a janitor, you walk in, you're like, I don't get paid enough for this shit. A squid? An actual squid?
God damn it.
And you think about this poor child, he's like you said, he's 7, he's excited to go shit on his own, and the first thing he sees is a squid?
It's like, just go to the bathroom. The toilet's not going to hurt you. A squid's not going to come out and attack you. Just go.
He probably reverted so hard, he was probably back in diapers till the age of 12. I don't think he wanted to go near a toilet anytime after that.
It ruined my life.
He said 25 years later, it still haunts him. He's probably in Depends right now.
At least he could be an astronaut.
They just shit themselves all the time. Frank, the toilet squids are back. That's what someone commented.
All right, this one is from Millennialist. I was young, maybe 8. Just so you know, I always go to sleep in my bed, and I never, ever fall asleep on the couch. My grandpa died, and we went back from his funeral. That night, I went to bed, in my room as usual, but I woke up in the middle of the night on the living room couch. When I looked up, I saw my grandpa's ghost. It wasn't scary or anything. At the time, it felt natural. He didn't say anything, but there was this understanding between us. I went back to my room and went back to sleep. I would have assumed it was a dream, but it was so vivid and real that it stuck with me for years, especially since I woke up on the couch, which made the moment stick out even more in my mind. It wasn't even I saw a ghost moment. It was just a weird, vivid memory that seemed so normal at the time that I didn't think anything strange of it. When I was about 20, I told my mom that story and she said, "Was it the day of his funeral? Because I saw his ghost that night too." That fucked my shit up.
It's one of the best sayings. That fucked my shit right up.
I was just ruined for years.
This comes from Royal Deluxe. I was about 7 and my brother was 13, and we still shared a room. I was always afraid of the dark when I was a kid. Periodically, I would wake up in the night and call for my mom to come turn on the hall light to be used as a night light, much to the enjoyment of my brother. One night in the middle of winter, I woke up, and right before I called out for Mom, I noticed there was a man on the deck that was on the other side of the wall from our bedroom. I froze. I was totally freaked and tried to scream, but I could only make this high-pitched squeaking sound. Yep. The only thing I could do was cry. After what seemed like hours, my dad heard me and came in to see what was wrong. The man was gone, of course, when I told him, and how he blew it off as a nightmare, until my brother, from under his covers, said that he saw it too. With that, my dad went outside with the shotgun. It's always a shotgun. Dads and their shotguns.
I love America.
There were footprints in the snow outside our window and the window of my parents' bedroom. That one took a while to recover from. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, right. Guy's just like, I'm going to kidnap you. Oh, gotta go.
It's just like that typical horror thing, right? When someone's just standing there, ominously. It's freaky.
Oh, yeah. And they're always gone before the authorities arrive.
Dad couldn't get there fast enough with the shotgun.
All right, this one is from Lefty Left Field. I grew up in rural Scotland in the 80s and 90s. Think 50 kids total in my entire primary school, rural. There are only 4 kids in my year, one being me, so only 3 classmates. I was told that before we moved into the house I grew up in, the previous owner had died of old age in our living room, and they lived in my bedroom before that. There was some kind of raised wooden floor built for them to live/die on, with a bed that was taken out when we got there. Too spooky for me. Events as follows. I don't remember this, but my mom claims she couldn't find me when I was a toddler and later found me in a closed drawer in my room. No idea how I got there, and no idea how it was closed. That's creepy. I have a distant memory of seeing a dog-like ghost running in place in broad daylight in our living room. Mom had me hide behind a couch with her suddenly because the coal man was here to collect money we owed him. We were extremely poor and had coal fires to keep us warm in the winter, but I didn't know why we were hiding at first. I peeked into the living room from behind the couch and saw what was like a standing shadow, but was made of light running on the spot in front of the fireplace. It was like a dog running really quick, but it was running in place and suddenly switching side to side every few seconds, like it was glitching out. I thought that was why my mom had me hide behind the couch. I got scared and went and stopped looking into the living room, hiding behind the couch fully again. It stuck with me as a what the fuck was that I saw moment. But seeing that it was barely primary school age back then, I can't really give any real weight as paranormal evidence to myself. My room had a lot of things fall over in it that shouldn't, and never with anyone there to do it. Every now and then, we'd hear a loud bang come from the upstairs room while we were all downstairs, and something had fallen over. Usually small things like books, games, etc., but I had a mirror smashed from falling on the floor.
Jeez.
The worst was my entire wardrobe fell over and broke my bed. You imagine that?
Die. You're sleeping peacefully and your wardrobe falls on you. Like, take it easy, Narnia.
Take it easy, Narnia. The wardrobe was really big and heavy and shouldn't have been able to fall forward on its own like that. Scared the shit out of all of us from the boom alone. Thought we had a robber up there. A few family members told me they thought I was in my room and were surprised to see I wasn't because they saw my door in the later stages of closing as they went by. What?
I mean, it's one thing to have like a picture fall or like a book fall off, but an entire wardrobe just tipping?
Yeah.
Like that noise is cataclysmic. Like you run out of the house because that would be like the roof is coming down.
You know, I've heard of hauntings, but that ghost is just being an asshole at that point.
Like he just escalated quickly. He's like, I'm gonna skip all like the progressive shit. It's just the wardrobe. I'm starting big.
You son of a bitch.
He's like, I don't want to kill anybody. I just want to send a message. Boom!
Bitch, get out my room.
It's an ugly wardrobe anyway.
As though someone had gone in there and had been closing the door behind them, and the family members saw the last seconds of the door moving to a close. I never witnessed this, but it was unsettling to hear about. I remember that when us kids were left in the house alone, which apparently was fairly often, we'd hear very audible footsteps and banging coming from the room upstairs, but it usually came from my bedroom. I had sleep paralysis a lot when I lived there. I'd scream really loud and freak everyone out. Typically sleep paralysis episodes. I think I'm awake, but I can't move, and it's like something evil is in the room with me with the intent to kill me, and I have to fight it off or I'll die type of feeling. If you've ever had one, feel lucky? They fucking suck. If I went into detail over what I saw and felt during the sleep paralysis, this post would be a lot bigger. So I don't want to. Every now and then, a really, really loud bang would wake me up, as though someone had wrapped their knuckles on something wooden near my head with a lot of force. This has followed me everywhere since, but doesn't happen as often. I think it's an exploding head syndrome, but it's still not a nice way to wake up. Then it says, bonus 3 spooky me. My stepdad and mom both had the same dream that they were abducted by a UFO. My stepdad was telling my mom about this crazy dream he had that a UFO came and the roof went see-through and he was taken aboard. Mom went pale and said that she had the same dream. My younger sisters shared a room and were both freaked out and said that they had woken up to their blankets on the floor and thought it was ghosts. I didn't have to...
and thought it was ghosts.
It's a weird sentence.
The pausing was
and
amazing. And it was ghosts.
I did have a UFO dream or wake up with my blankets off of me. I guess the haunted bedroom saved me there.
This guy has stories for days.
All right. Here's a super bonus story.
Oh my God.
When I was a young teen, I was at this tiny river beach with a good friend of mine late at night, drinking by a little campfire we made because it's Scotland, and that's what we do. We were waiting on another friend coming. We were having a laugh, talking about shit, when we hear these very heavy footsteps coming towards us. Cool, we thought. It's the friend we're waiting on, but never appears. We were thinking he's fucking with us, so we'll call his name out, but no answer. We get up and wander out into the darkness and can't see anyone. Literally seconds have passed. No way in hell anyone was right there, then, left at that time without us hearing or seeing them. We think our friend is fucking with us, and we decide that he must hinder a bit further down the trail to get to the river. We actually walked all the way back to the start of the trail, a good quarter of a mile from the river, where we meet our friend. Not only just arriving on his push bike with no clue what we're on about when we tell him that was a good joke. I'd swear blind someone was right next to us. We both heard it. Doesn't help that the section of the river we were drinking on has stupid Scottish folk legends about stupid ghosts who haunt it because they drown. I don't believe the ghost story, but do personally know of people who have actually drowned in the river. I left home a long time ago now, and things like that don't happen anymore, except for still having sleep paralysis episodes and loud banging waking me up from time to time, but far less when we lived from home.
I bet that he probably secures his wardrobes to the wall.
Yeah, right.
A lot better.
I'm just afraid of wardrobes now.
I have this uncanny fear of wardrobes. All right. Well, now that lengthy story is done, let's go back to Deleted. When I was 7, my dad had bought me a pocket watch that came with its own stand. He put it on top of our TV. Since we didn't have any other clock in the house besides the bedroom just yet, we had just moved in 2 weeks earlier. Me being me, I got up in the middle of the night when everyone was asleep to get a quick late night snack. I sneak halfway across the living room when I noticed that the pocket watch's tick was getting louder and louder. I stopped to inspect it. Didn't seem to be that bad. I ignored it, got my snack, started heading back. Again, I heard the tick of the pocket watch getting louder and louder. I stopped again, then heard the following sung in a song. Mr. Frost is a bad man. Mr. Frost is a snitch. Mr. Frost is a bad man. Beat us within an inch.
Jesus Christ.
That's a little intense. I bolt to my room, hide under the covers, and refuse to come out. Ever since then, I've hated that pocket watch. I've tried many times to search for someone named Mr. Frost in my area, and nothing has come up. You Google Mr. Frost, you're just going to get Christmas stuff. Not about beating someone within an inch of their life, though.
Mr. Frost here.
Was that Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I guess.
This one is from Makramu. In my bedroom, growing up, there was a patch on the wall that would softly glow in the dark. It was so faint that it would disappear when I looked directly at it or got too close. It looked like there was a break in the curtains, but after I stood in front of it, I ruled it to be impossible. There were some nights it didn't glow at all.
This comes from Geistbot. The house I grew up during a large portion of my childhood was built sometime in the 1930s. It was pretty big, which was great for a kid like me who loved to explore. Problem was that all through the house, I would routinely get this creepy vibe. Like as if someone were watching me, or this overwhelming feeling that I wasn't safe and needed to leave particular areas. Now, it could have had just been an overactive imagination. Kids are definitely prone to having those. Problem was I wasn't exposed to scary movies or stories as a kid. I think my parents recognized how scared I would get by my own imagination and couldn't even fathom how bad it would be to actually see or hear something. Still, even as an adult now, looking back, there are two particular events which I can't possibly explain as being irrational. Both of them involved the basement, which I'll mention was primarily unfinished. To give a quick layout of it, the basement was accessible through the kitchen or the main hallway, and was adjacent to the side door. It was unfinished with hard concrete floors and an area in the back that was mostly dirt. Going down the basement meant you had to take these wooden steps which had probably been there since the 30s. The first incident was on a weekend. My dad and I were sitting in the living room watching NASCAR, and during a commercial break, he asked me to get him a beer. You know, like dads usually do.
What a good dad.
Unfortunately for me, he kept his beer down in the basement in this little mini fridge. That just seems really inconvenient. And I was already kind of scared of going down there. Not wanting to upset him by telling him no, I went for it anyway. Before I even made it to the steps, I was already getting that feeling that I couldn't go any further, and that I should immediately turn right around. But I kept going on. As I got to the basement steps, that fear continued to grow and grow. You know that feeling you get when you can just tell that someone is staring at you? Like a fifth sense, your spine gets kind of tingly and you have this overwhelming feeling to look at in the direction. You're just looking at me like a fucking spaz. That was not good. That's what I was experiencing, tenfold. When I finally reached the bottom of the steps, I was almost completely paralyzed with fear. I slowly turned my head to the left towards where the open dirt area was and said, "Hello?" As soon as I said that, two red, glowing orb things emerged from that dark part. I'd say they were eyes, but I can't be for sure. I didn't study them long enough before I ran up the steps as fast as I could. Boy, I sure hope he grabbed that beer. My dad must have heard my running and met me in the hallway and asked what was going on. I told him about what I saw and he immediately headed down there. I think he might have thought it was an animal or something, but after a few minutes he emerged with the beer in hand and telling me it was nothing. Just get it myself, boy. The second event took place a year, maybe a year and a half later. It was during the summer, and my family and I were outside. Dad, mom, younger brother, and myself. I had to use the bathroom and headed inside using the front door, as I had refused to use the side door since that previous event. When I went to go back outside, though, I had thought I'd try and be brave and face my fear. I headed towards the side door, sat at the top of the basement steps, and waited. It didn't take long for me to get those same feelings all over again. I shouldn't be there. Something was watching me. I needed to leave immediately. I was truly tired of the fear, though. I wanted to be brave and face whatever threat was down there, so I stayed. It didn't take long for me to run, though, because as soon as I had made that determination, I saw a shadow paint across the wall opposite of the handrail. It was human, looked male, seemed extremely large, no real fine details. Again, not enough time as I immediately bolted out the door. I told my dad about it, and this time he seemed a bit more concerned. I didn't follow him into the house, but I did hear him racking his gun before he descended down. Just like last time, though, he emerged, nothing to be found. There were other events, but those were the two primary ones. I still have nightmares about that place, too. They are always so odd, too. Before they involved me being inside the house already and going down to the basement to face whatever was down there. That's ended, though, and now I'm always outside the house. The weather is odd, like it's not sure if it wants to be night or daytime. I had this feeling like I need to go in the house and explore it further. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
That's a creepy fucking basement, man. This one is from Vegetarian Robots. Was about 5 or 6. One night, my parents and I were watching TV in the living room of our ranch-style house in the suburbs in the Midwest. A stranger light coming from the hallway got our attention. In the bedroom at the end of the hallway, there was a 1 by 1 foot glowing orb of light floating about 3 to 4 feet from the floor, illuminating the dark room. The orb seemed to realize it was being observed and moved very quickly, and before we knew it, the orb was outside like it had passed through the wall or windows. It then very quickly went around the house, jumping or passing through 2 6-foot fences in a matter of seconds. We saw it do this through the windows, and our dog started to freak out. My dad freaks out and grabs his revolver and a flashlight and storms outside. It had rained recently, and there was mud outside, but no evidence of footprints or anything to rationally explain it. While the event is family legend now, my mom thought it was a ghost or spirit, my dad thought it was aliens, and quite frankly, I have no fucking clue. I leaned towards ball lightning, but it seemed to have at least some level of intelligence and seemed to make deliberate, not random movements.
This comes from Rainbow Dash. When I was really little, maybe 3 or 4, I used to swear I would see Jesus' image light up on the wall next to my bed, and it would talk to me. Oh, that would freak me out. It's like, oh, hey, Jesus. This happened several times and horrified me every time. Until one night, I asked God to stop it from happening because it was scaring me. Never came back.
What did it say? Like, there's a lot of detail that's missing.
Yeah,
here.
you can't just casually say, I saw Jesus on my wall one day. He was just talking to me. About?
A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
Do you care to elaborate? Next season on? And then they just cancel the show?
Post about this on Reddit when you were older.
I don't understand.
That's the funniest one I've read. This one is Chopstick Ninja. About time. I get to talk about this again.
It's the for me.
Oh, yeah.
Fine. He sits down on his computer. I just imagine him getting like, welcome back to the story I'm about to tell once more.
Buckle up, everyone. It's going to be good. My family lives in a super rural part of Tennessee, and we have a family homestead that's been passed down for generations called the Turley House. Legend in the family has it that it was a Civil War hospital, which I can totally see because it's absolutely ancient and creepy. We also have a legend in the family that we're all haunted by a demon / spirit / God knows what's called Wool Eyes. So they're haunted by something called Wool Eyes, which is really fucking creepy.
That name alone is not okay.
He is so prominent in our family's history that he's just a fact of life at this point. So it's not unusual to hear someone say something like, oh look, Wool Eyes is at it again. He must be upset.
It's just old Wool Eyes again.
One of the creepy experiences I had growing up here is the never-ending rose bush. There was 2 rose bushes on the corner of the house that weren't very big. I have distinct memories of playing around them and getting absolutely batshit lost in the rose bushes, running in circles for hours and hours at a time. It was sort of like the scene from Spirited Away when Chihiro and Haku were running through the flower hedges.
Oh, yes, that scene.
Everyone knows that, right? Eventually, I would find my way out, but it would be hours later and my mom would be hella angry that I was gone for so long. I never really thought much about it because of kid logic, but I asked
how angry I am, son? I am hella angry.
You were in those rose bushes for hours?
Like just spirited away? Like that scene? I am hella pissed, boy.
But I asked my mom about it years later, and she said that all the kids in the family have stories about getting lost in the same spot. Everybody always blamed it on Wool Eyes, saying he's just having fun messing around. Wish I could go back and explore the house some. I got some crazy stories through the years. I mean, like, come on, bro. And then he just stops right there.
This is just like another Jesus story. Like, you tell us this.
Like, you'd think they would have he would have put what they talked about it.
You introduced Jesus and then some creature named Wool Eyes with no context after.
He told me which religion was true, and, I just asked him to leave, and he left me alone.
I told his dad
what religion was true?
Like, what happened? What did you guys talk about in the wee hours of the night? When Jesus just made his appearance on your wall and you just casually left this little nugget of information and then fucked off with it? I'm bitter about that. That's going to ruin everything tonight. I'm not going to be able to sleep because I want to know what Jesus said.
Hello, my child.
Yeah, that's probably how that happened. Okay, this comes from Cake and Lemons. Till this day, I don't know if they were a series of fucked up dreams or if it was reality. That's a good start. But when I was around 6 or 7, my family and I lived in a 2-story house with all the bedrooms upstairs. My mom would always send me to her room to collect nappies. My brother had just been born, and of course, my parents' room was at the very end of the hallway. I remember I had this distinct feeling that I could never recall. I just knew it when I felt it. The feeling was a warning sign that it was coming. Don't ask what the fuck it was, because I had no clue. We know what it was. It's a clown in the sewers named Pennywise.
Here's a balloon.
When it was coming, I would get comfortable, lie on a bed or sit down, and close my eyes. I had to close my eyes, though. Under no circumstances were they to be open. I felt like it was forbidden to look at it. It was like a set of rules that I had to follow or else something would happen. I was too scared to question it. It would slowly come in, the feeling would grow as it got closer, and it would come from the hallway through the door. I felt like it was floating because I could never hear footsteps. It would literally just talk to me, like, that's it. The subject would range from small talk to something extremely creepy, my mother's death. See, we get a little bit of context. A little bit. Still don't know what Jesus said, though. It would usually ask me questions like, how was your day? But I would never answer because, again, I was scared to death. At this point, I would wait and listen until I couldn't feel its presence anymore. Only then would it be safe to open my eyes and move. You good?
Jesus got me going.
I don't think that's a good sentence, man. Jesus really got me going. It was weird because I seemed to forget that experience until the next one. After it left, I would just continue on with what I was doing like nothing had happened. The only time I'd actually acknowledge it was when the feeling would wash over me and I'd realize that I fucked up by being alone. I really don't remember much. That one nappy experience always stood out, though. Everything would kind of blur together. Pretty much all my memories from then are like that. I only remember my thoughts and feelings at the time. I don't even know.
Spooky story.
Just something that came up and you just know you had to close your eyes. Kind of like that Bird Box movie.
This one is from I Like Clefairy. So a friend of my family is very wealthy and has a big house that we affectionately call the castle. Now, it's no mansion, but from my low state of living, it seemed like it. Somewhere between 6 to 8 rooms, a pool, 2 living rooms, a giant basement filled with a flat screen, and pool tables, and all that. My friend and I would always crash in the basement when we stayed over. Now, it was close to Halloween time, so we just finished watching a scary movie and were called upstairs for dinner. I had just finished taking a particularly nasty dump, so I closed the bathroom door and ate like usual.
Of all the descriptive pieces to tell in your story, you had to capitalize on your dump.
He's like, that deserves its own ghost story.
I never forget a particularly nasty dump.
When we came back down to the basement, the bathroom door was open. Because it was close to Halloween, we all got spooked and ran upstairs telling my mom we closed the door and it's open.
It's probably your rank-ass smell pushing it open.
So spooky, I know. But her response was, oh, that's just Boykum.
It's Boykum?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
And told us his story. Boykum is the house owner's brother's imaginary friend from when they were kids.
House owner's brother's imaginary friend?
They made sure to emphasize that it was friendly, but whenever something moves or doors open or close, they just blame Boykum and laugh it off. I'm gonna Boykum you. So my friend and I went back downstairs terrified, and for the rest of the night we kept watch on the doors to see if anything was different, But sure enough, if ever we both left the basement, when we came back, one of the 3 downstairs doors was open wide. We got into the habit of closing them all. My mom tried to scare us once with a wolf mask, which was more funny than anything. But anyway, as we were going to sleep, there are 2 half windows. I say half because they are small and lead outside.
Oh, thanks for the clarification.
While we are underground, if that makes sense, and 2 couches, I lay on one and my friend lays on the other. Kind of weird description.
2 couches. That part is crucial.
And from the way we are laying, we could each see one of the windows. And on the window is a white face. It is very dark and hard to see, but it looks like 3 black holes on a white field that might just happen to make a face. But when I get up and look closer, it moves away.
God damn it, Boykum, I'm trying to sleep.
Almost like it's more of a reflection of light than anything else. I deliberately didn't tell my friend about it because we had enough fear for one day. So 2 years or so later, we were talking about the scariest things that have happened to us, and of course, Boykum gets brought into the situation. I'm listening to my friend tell the story, and he ends with, "Yeah, that night scared the shit out of me. I never told you this, but when we were sleeping, I saw this super creepy white face looking at me through the window, but we could only see different windows. I lost my shit and was never more creeped out. It's been some time since we've been to the castle, but the story has always spooked me."
Imagine being haunted by a ghost named Boykum.
Boykums, goddammit!
I can't take that seriously. It's like when you find out in those like demon movies where you find out the demon's name and it's always like Pazuzu and Beelzebub, and this one's Boykum.
God damn you, Boykum.
Like I'd be like, oh, I'm not afraid anymore. His name is Boykum. I think I'm good. He can hang around and open the doors after my rank shits all he wants. I don't care.
Boykum, I'm sick of your jokes and your joke name.
Yeah, seriously. Boykum?
Every time we heard a door shut, we just heard Boykum.
That was his catchphrase. Boykum! Jesus Christ. Oh, there we go again.
Hello, Britain. I would like to talk to you tonight.
I spoke to Jesus. End of story. Fantastic. Love the context. Thanks for your clarification. Moving on. Okay, so this comes from... God, I'm so messed up from that. That makes me so mad. This comes from Anthony, 4512. Since I was born, up to when I was around 18, I could see and feel things that no one around me would. My parents discovered that I had a weird power of sensing things that they couldn't, but knew I was right. Is this like the Sixth Sense? They tried to force me into believing that the things I saw or sensed were just my imagination. We lived in my aunt's house for a few months when I was around 7. It's always 7. Our room door, which didn't have an actual door, but the space where the door would go, was across from my aunt's room door. Okay. And I could see my aunt's bed, where she was sleeping with her husband, from my bed, where I was sleeping with my parents. Jesus. Do you want to clarify any more? It was about 2 a.m. when I started hearing a noise that sounded just like an airplane that is going to land because it kept getting louder and closer. I woke up my parents because the noise was getting way too loud, and they said they don't hear anything and got upset at me for waking them up. So they moved their heads to where their feet were. What? So they moved their heads to where their feet were and told me not to wake them again. So they literally just like rotated to the bottom of the bed.
It's creepy as hell.
What is happening? So this kid feels like he's gonna get demolished by an airplane. He wakes his parents up and they say, well, don't wake me up. And then they like scuttle to the bottom of the bed.
It's creepy, man. That's a creepy movie.
Like that's the scariest part of the whole story is the parents' terrifying behavior. At this point, I got really scared because I could hear this loud noise and all I can hug is my parents' feet. Suddenly a bright light lightens up my aunt's bedroom, but the light would only light their bedroom and would not light any other part of the house. That was a lot of light.
Jesus.
I could hear the airplane hovering outside my aunt's bedroom. We lived on a second floor. Scared of the situation and to wake up my parents' feet, I decided to close my eyes. Next thing I see when I open my eyes is the white transparent person-shaped thing that walks to my aunt and sits on the edge of her face.
Excuse me, dude? Excuse me? What? You've been drinking. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an erotic, scary story.
They were called the face sitters. Okay, so it actually says, walks to my aunt and sits on the edge of her bed, waking her up, but not her husband. She then sits up on the bed and they start having a conversation. I could hear them talking, but I couldn't hear what they were saying clearly. After a few minutes,
At least buy me dinner first.
After a few minutes, the thing walked to the window, which had iron bars for security, and walked through it. Where are they? There's no doors, but the windows have iron bars?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions here.
This family, something is wrong, and they're blaming this child?
Leave me alone while I sleep with my feet.
Just crawling under the sheets really scampily. And then the wife is having a conversation with this pasty person that just walked through. I don't like this story at all. My aunt went back to sleep. The lights from outside turned off and the hovering airplane noise started sounding like it was going away. Is she ambassador to the aliens?
Maybe, man.
The next day while we all were having lunch, my aunt mentioned that Anthony, her brother, my uncle, the one I was named after and that died of a brain tumor when I was 1 year old, came to visit her one last time to tell her that he will not visit her anymore because he was going on a long journey.
That makes sense. This whole story makes sense.
Somehow I'm not as upset about the Jesus one anymore. This one has captivated my every curiosity.
Hello, Bridget. I've come to talk to you about the gospel.
Ah! Jesus. Jesus, it's 2 a.m.
You need to stop coming here.
Okay. Well, that actually turned out to be a lot more fun than the first time we recorded it.
Sorry. I don't know
what are you doing?
You're
dead.
I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, that was a really fun one. I think that we found a couple more stories that we didn't get the last time. So maybe it's a good thing the first episode didn't work out. Except I'm still upset about Jesus. Like, the fact that you could just drop something like that and then just think that that's fine.
Oh, man, that's a good story.
I would even take an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist on that one where it was just like, I don't know, like a projector that his dad set up to try and get him closer to God. I don't know.
Hello, my child.
I have some words to speak of you. Listen carefully, but tell no one. But that is it, folks. Thank you again so much for your patience. We sincerely apologize. Hopefully we encounter no more roadblocks in this awesome thing we call life. So as we continue to record, we are always looking for viewer submissions. So if you have an idea, suggestion, topic, or a story you want to tell us about, please email us at entertheabysspod@gmail.com.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, we actually just hit our first milestone.
What?
We are the first part of monetization. Hours watched. We're done with that. We have 214 subs. We need 1,000. So if you're watching us and you think we earned it, please like, share, and subscribe because that really helps us get us out there. Hopefully we can get to 1,000 subs by the end of next year. That'd be really cool.
That'd be amazing. And for all of you who are subscribing and have talked about us, thank you again. It helps tremendously. And we sincerely apologize again for letting you down over and over again, but hopefully we'll be back on track for our weekly Sunday episode drops.
All right. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.